Welcome to Storyflix. In this video, we will explain the third part of Squid Game. Squid Game is a Netflix original series about people who have all struggled financially in life. They were then invited to play a mysterious survival competition with deadly twists. How terrible is this bloody game? Let's find out in Squid Game, Part 3. Squid Game Part 3 starts after the marbles game are over. The committee immediately evacuated the bodies of the players who were eliminated from the game location. The participants who made it through to the next round returned to the big room, and it turned out that Min Ryom was there. She was not eliminated even though she did not participate in the marbles game. After the marbles game was over, the frontman returned to his room. He was then looking for any intruders who had most likely entered his room to dig up information about the game. He must hurry to find and get rid of the intruder because important investors will visit soon. He then asked all his men to stay alert and look for the intruder until they found him. The next day, the investors arrived at the game location. Like the frontman and the rest of the committee, the VIP guests also wore masks to hide their identities. The frontman welcomed the investors who represented the host. The frontman is tasked with providing the best service because these VIP investors are the ones who invest their money as bets in the game. Their visit this time was to watch the game live. Junho, who is still hiding somewhere, manages to knock out a committee member and disguise himself as a waiter to get close to the frontman and VIP investors. He also recorded the situation in the investors' room secretly so that later it could be used as evidence to arrest the syndicate of this cruel game. The fifth round of the game began immediately. The participants are gathered in a room and asked to choose a vest that reads the numbers 1 to 16. According to the remaining players, these numbers are sequence numbers that will determine the fate of the players in the next game. The participants scrambled to take the middle numbers because they did not want to take the risk of being the first and last participants. When it was Gi-hoon's turn, the remaining numbers were number 1 and number 16. Gi-hoon has been determined to choose number 1, but a participant who hasn't got a number begs Gi-hoon to give him number 1 because he is too afraid to be the last participant. Gi-hoon finally relented and gave number 1 to the participant. The participants were directed to the game's location after the selection of the serial number was completed. The game's location is above the same height as the location of the previous tug-of-war game. In front of them stretched a bridge made of glass. The players are required to cross the glass bridge within 15 minutes according to their order number. The glass bridge consists of 2 different types of glass. If the players choose the wrong glass, the glass will immediately break and fall from a height. After knowing the game's rules, the participants who chose the beginning numbers seemed desperate because if they made a wrong move, the players behind them could determine which glass was correct and escape from this game. But being a player with the last numbers is not a good choice either. They have to race against time. The fifth round of the game begins. The players began to venture over the glass bridge one by one. Many players failed to choose the correct glass and fall. However, time goes on, and the participants become impatient if the player in front of them takes too long to determine which glass is the right glass. Finally, Deok-soo was in the leading position, and none of the other participants dared to tell him. Deok-soo then told all the players behind him that he would stay where he was so that no player escaped in this game. Hearing this, an annoyed Min Ryong immediately jumped to Deok-soo's place. She then hugged Deok-soo and sacrificed herself by dropping Deok-soo with her. Long story short, the remaining 4 players are still surviving on the glass bridge, while the others have fallen and died. The player in the front turns out to be an employee who works in a glass factory, so he can determine the type of glass that is safe for footing. Gi-hoon, Sang-woo, and Sa-byok, who were behind the contestants, continued on the glass bridge thanks to the workers' abilities. The frontman, who knows this information, then turns off all lighting in the game arena to make it difficult for players to choose the correct glass. Time is running, but the glass factory worker has not moved from his place because he is still unsure about his choice. Sang-woo starts to lose his temper at being pressed by less than a minute remaining. He then pushed the glass factory worker in front of him. At the last second, the 3 remaining players immediately ran to the end of the bridge. Sang-woo, Sa-byok, and Gi-hoon finally managed to arrive safely at the end of the game. After that, the glass bridge was destroyed. The flying shards of glass rained down on Gi-hoon and the others who couldn't dodge and left their bodies covered in scratches. In the VIP room, the investors who watched the game seemed to enjoy and were satisfied with the result. They didn't care about the other players who fell from a height and died horribly. Junho, who disguised himself as a waiter, looks like he's doing a pretty good job. One of the VIP guests even asked Junho to sit nearby. The VIP guest seemed interested in him and took him to another room. The VIP guest orders Junho to sit down in the room while he begins to undress. Junho gets angry and points his gun at him. He forces him to reveal all the information related to the game while recording the man's confession as evidence. After getting all the information, Junho paralyzed the VIP guest and immediately ran away from the game location using diving equipment. The frontman, who knew about this, then mobilized several men to hunt Junho using a boat. Not long after, Junho made it to an island that was across from the game location. He grabbed his slightly wet phone. He tried to contact the police inspector to send help and arrest the syndicate of the cruel game. He also sent the evidence he had collected while at the game's location. But his cell phone can't pick up the phone signal because his position is on a remote island. He then took the initiative to climb to higher ground to get a signal, although his efforts were fruitless. Shortly after, the frontman and his men arrived on the same island. They find Junho's diving equipment and decide to start a search there. It didn't take long for the frontman to find Junho and corner him. When Junho was on the edge of a cliff, the frontman approached him and took off his mask. How surprised Junho is when he finds out the figure behind the mask is none other than his older brother, who has disappeared all this time. Junho then asked his brother about the reason for doing all these cruel acts, but then he was shot by his brother and fell into the sea. Returning to the game's location, the participants who made it through the 5th round were given time to rest before advancing to the next round. They are also welcome to change clothes and eat dinner that the game organizers had provided. When changing her clothes in the bathroom, Sabyok looks very sick and covered in blood. It turned out that one of the sharp shards of glass pierced Sabyok's stomach and she was bleeding profusely. In panic and frustration, Sabyok hits the idea to cover the wound and stop the bleeding. She tore off her uniform and wrapped the cloth around the gaping wound in her stomach. Gi-hoon, Sang-woo, and Sabyok finally enjoyed a delicious dinner for the first time since they joined the game. Gi-hoon and Sang-woo devour their food to the brim, but Sabyok looks difficult to eat because of the excruciating pain in her stomach. After the meal was over, the 3 participants were provided with a small dagger as a weapon and to defend themselves. Gi-hoon, who is still angry with Sang-woo for his cruel actions, intends to kill him. He even approached Sabyok to work together so that they could win the game this time. Sabyok, who just sat after dinner, didn't respond much to because her condition worsened. Sabyok then tells Gi-hoon that she has one wish if she loses here, and Gi-hoon comes out victorious. She begs him to save and take care of her brother, who is currently in an orphanage. After conveying her request, Sabyok immediately lay limp, and Gi-hoon just realized that her clothes were covered in blood due to the heavy bleeding that she was experiencing. Gi-hoon immediately ran to the door, shouting to call the committee for help. Not long after, the door opened, and the organizers entered the room, carrying the coffin used to transport the bodies of the dead players. It turns out that when Gi-hoon called the committee, Sang-woo approached Sabyok and slit her throat. Gi-hoon rushed over and hugged Sabyok, but she was already lifeless in his arms. Gi-hoon gets angry with Sang-woo and attacks him, but with an expressionless face, Sang-woo says that he only wants to help Sabyok by ending her suffering. The next day, the 2 remaining players, Gi-hoon and Sang-woo, face each other for the final game. Gi-hoon and Sang-woo will play their childhood game, the Squid Game. The rules in the game are quite simple. An attacker must pass the guard and advance to the finish line without crossing the specified boundary line. Gi-hoon gets the role of the attacker, while Sang-woo is the one who defends. Elsewhere, VIP investors and the frontman watch the game to determine the winner of the $1 billion prize money. Gi-hoon and Sang-woo are still equipped with the daggers they used in the previous game. They then fight each other and attack using the dagger. In the pouring rain, the 2 childhood friends fight desperately to survive until the end and win the game. On one occasion, Sang-woo grabbed a dagger and stabbed Gi-hoon several times. But Gi-hoon manages to survive Sang-woo's attack and turn things around. Sang-woo ends up lying helpless after Gi-hoon paralyzes him. Gi-hoon intends to kill his best friend by stabbing Sang-woo to death with a dagger stuck in his hand. But he doesn't have the heart to kill Sang-woo and instead sticks the dagger next to him. He decides to let Sang-woo live and walks to the finish line. But the rules of the game forbid Gi-hoon from doing so. The committee will still execute Sang-woo because the man is considered to have been eliminated from the game. Gi-hoon then turned around and walked back to Sang-woo's place. He intends to save his best friend by asking Sang-woo to end the game. If both agree to end the game will be stopped according to most votes. But Sang-woo refuses Gi-hoon's request and slits his own throat. Before dying, he begs Gi-hoon to help his mother. In the heavy rain, Gi-hoon bursts into tears as he hugs his lifeless childhood friend. Gi-hoon was immediately declared the winner in the Squid Game and was entitled to total prize money of 45.6 billion won. After fighting life and death for 6 days, Gi-hoon was finally sent home. Even though he has become a winner, he still has to follow the rules to maintain confidentiality about the game's location. Although he is not sedated, the frontman still closes his eyes and binds his hands. The frontman then accompanied Gi-hoon in his limousine and handed over an ATM card. But Gi-hoon doesn't feel happy at all for his victory because hundreds of people's lives have been lost to get the money, including the lives of his best friend. Gi-hoon feels the deepest sadness and grief as the only person who survived. He can't even face Sang-woo's mother when they cross paths on the street. It was too painful for him to remember Sang-woo, who begged him in the seconds before his death. But suffering does not seem to want to let Gi-hoon off the hook. Arriving at home, he has to face an even harsher reality. He finds his mother dead. Gi-hoon, who was unable to hold back the pain after the pain that came repeatedly, was finally only able to scream it out in the void as he hugged his beloved mother's body. 1 year has passed, and Gi-hoon still can't get over his pain. One night, Gi-hoon, sitting by the river, was approached by a flower seller. The woman gave a rose to him, which contained the same card as the one he got before. But this time, behind the card was not a phone number, but an address that Gi-hoon had to go to. Without thinking, he rushed to the address. Arriving there, Gi-hoon is surprised by the presence of a very unexpected person. Il-nam is lying weakly on the bed. His body was fitted with medical devices to support his survival, which may not be long. Gi-hoon thought Il-nam had been dead since the marbles game. But it turns out that the committee did not execute him because he was the host in the game as well as the boss of the frontman. Il-nam revealed that he was not happy even though he was rich. The old man then got the idea to create a playground where he could play and have fun with other friends like when he was a kid. The idea was welcomed by other rich people who later joined in building the game arena and everything. Suddenly, Gi-hoon becomes very angry at Il-nam because he and the investors had the heart to sacrifice hundreds of lives just to get their pleasure. But Il-nam emphasized that from the beginning, Gi-hoon and all the participants who participated in the game were not forced to join the game. He and the others were given two choices and chose to return to the game anyway. Everything is the choice of the participants themselves. Il-nam expressed his sincere gratitude to Gi-hoon, who always took care of him and became a playmate who made him feel very happy in the last moments of his life. After revealing everything to Gi-hoon, he finally breathed his last in peace. After Gi-hoon left, the frontman approached Il-nam's body and gently closed his eyes. After meeting Il-nam, Gi-hoon begins to rise from adversity and start a new life. He changes his hairstyle and dyes his hair. He then picks up Seobyeok's brother at the orphanage and leaves the boy to Sang-woo's mother. Before leaving, he gave them a suitcase full of money to keep his promise to Sang-woo and Seobyeok. After taking care of and paying off everything, Gi-hoon intends to follow his daughter to the United States. However, Gi-hoon accidentally sees a mysterious man who had met him at the train station playing a game of deedakji with a potential victim. Gi-hoon immediately ran towards the man's place. But when he got there, the mysterious man had already fled. He then took the card from the potential victim and called the number listed there, which the frontman answered. Gi-hoon then tells frontman that he will find the game's location and avenge all their cruel deeds at any cost. He also does not go after his daughter and is determined to destroy the cruel game syndicate. The Squid Game Part 3 ends. No matter how difficult the problem is and how painful the suffering is, never lose your identity as a human being who has a conscience because it distinguishes humans from other creatures.